Yes,
Awesome. I love it when something actually works the way it's supposed to.
I know.
Considering when I started using a computer in my life, it's amazing the things that 2020 taught me. Um, so, motivational interviewing for peers. This is based off of some of the stuff that we actually provide to uh, the CPSs, Certified Peer Specialists, in our week-long training. This is one of the modules. Obviously, it's a condensed version from the 1 hour that we do in the CPS training, and it's a very condensed version from the 6 hour training I used to do years ago. So bear with me if I start to get a little bit talkative. Motivational interviewing. A lot of people don't really pay attention to what this is or have a real understanding of it. I had posted one time that I was doing a training for motivational interviewing, and one of my friends said, "Great, I need to know how to do my job interviews better. Can I come?" I'm like, "Sure, come on." It's not what it's about. It's an evidence-based communication style that helps help people move towards positive change. It's a communication style. Sometimes we get caught up in the idea of thinking that as people trying to help other people grow and change and whatnot, we want to do more of the talking and we want to do a few different things. And motivational interviewing really is a communication style, and the majority of it is about listening. And I think that's where we run into some issues. As I've trained counselors as we move forward and this and that, one of the biggest things I seem to have to tell people when they first get into the profession and start trying to help people is stop talking so much.
Yeah.
Start listening a little bit more. And that's what motivational interviewing is about. It's trying to understand them and where they're coming from. Today, we're going to hit the OARS model real quick. Again, I would recommend that you study this because we all deal, especially in our houses and everything, with people that are ambivalent. And we'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute. But I recommend that you find several trainings on motivational interviewing, because to be honest, this skill will improve your life if you do it. I'm not saying go do it with your family, but I'm saying go do it with your family. Just because if you can learn how to listen to the people that you love in your life, which is everybody, then you build better relationships. The better relationships you build, the more likely you're going to be able to help somebody. And I know that's why we're all here, because I'm pretty sure nobody's here for the money. But if you are, wrong profession. Okay, sorry. ORS. Open-ended questions, affirmations, reflective listening, and summarizing. This is the basic aspect of this part of motivational interviewing. Open-ended questions. As a professional, one of the most important techniques you can use is to ask an open-ended question. I want you to think about this a lot, and it's real interesting because when you sit there, think about how you're asking questions of somebody. It's so easy to ask a question that ends up being a yes or a no question, and it doesn't get the communication started. An open-ended question is designed to get them talking. Okay? It really is about them doing the talking so you can actually listen to what they have to say. When you use open-ended questions effectively, your peer usually does most of the talking. The purpose of this is to establish a safe environment, build trusting and peaceful and respectful relationships. If you think about it, what is one of the main things that you hear from the people that we serve that they struggle with? It's that they feel like they're not being heard.
Yep.
They don't feel like you're understanding or listening to them. We're dictating to them what they need to do to change and all these different things. An open-ended question and using the motivational interviewing stuff is designed to get them talking and get them to have that feeling of being heard. It's to explore, clarify, and gain understanding of the peers world. Okay. One thing that we've all learned is that it's hard to walk in somebody else's shoes. And when you sit there and listen to them, ask them open-ended questions to get them talking, you start to understand their world more. A lot of us have similarities, a lot of us in recovery. have very similar aspects, but every one of our stories is just a little bit more unique, a little different. Some of our trials and struggles are a little bit different. Some of our belief systems are a little bit different. And when you ask open-ended questions, you're understanding the peers world. You're understanding that person's viewpoints a little bit better. We learn about the peers' past experiences, feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you can help. But there's more to it than just us helping. It's more often than not, open-ended questions gets the peer talking to the point to where they answer their own questions. It's really kind of interesting. If you get somebody talking enough, they know the right answers. They're just not really sure they want to do them yet. It's about gathering information. The peer does most of the talking. Help the peer make an informed decision. Obviously, we want our peers to make great decisions. But how often does a person really listen to somebody else that's talking to them and say, okay, well, you told me I should do this, so I'm going to do this? Or if it comes from their own words, is it more powerful? If you tell me what I have to do, I'm like, but if I tell me what I have to do, there's a different aspect to it. So examples, what has worked in the past? How can I help you today? Some closed-end questions are appropriate. Have you had a drug test, so on and so forth. A paper trail is always a great way to validate what somebody is doing in a positive aspect. Sometimes we use drug tests and urinalysis as a weapon. We need to avoid that at all costs. This is one of the things that I think is super, super important. We avoid the why questions. Why puts a person on the defensive right off the bat? If you sit there and ask a person, why didn't you use a condom with your new partner? Right off the bat, that person is going to close off because it's feeling like an attack. It's feeling like they need to defend themselves. When if you switch that why to a what, and you turn that question into, what did you do to protect yourself? Next thing you know, you have this open-ended question that gets them talking about what they did. Why did you wait so long to come and see me? We've all done this at one point or another when somebody went out and they were back on a run for a little bit, they had a slip, and they don't come in to see you for quite a while. If you change that, why did you wait so long to come see me, to a what made it hard to come see me? Can you just feel the difference if you had to answer those questions? It's what made it hard. There's nothing to be defensive about that. That's just them explaining, hey, what made it hard? Well, I didn't have the right transportation. I was ashamed. I was this, whatever. They get talking. But if you say why, almost instantly that puts somebody on the defensive. Me, myself, in my life, what I've discovered is when I quit asking myself, why is this happening? And I started asking myself, what can I learn from it? Everything just kind of started going better as far as all of that goes. So when you get a chance, drop the why, add what, okay? Affirmations. The skill technique is often forgotten, and the simple affirmation statement to a peer, what they have already done, or a personal strength or ability. I think sometimes that we miss aspects of building somebody up, helping them become stronger. If you go after a weakness, you're going after a weakness and you tear them down, and that's not the way that we've discovered over the years. We actually help people move forward as well. You give somebody a small affirmation. Sometimes just getting out of bed and brushing your teeth is a huge success for some people. And so we need to be prepared to offer affirmations and let them know that, hey, you know what? I get it, that it was hard to come in and see me today, and I'm really thankful that you did. Thank you. I get it. It's really hard. The purpose for it is to build rapport, demonstrate empathy, affirm exploration into the peer's world. This is not, when we say give affirmation, this isn't blowing smoke up their tail, okay? This is really about making sure that they understand that even when we're struggling and doing a bunch of things wrong that seem like it's everything's chaos and not working, we forget that the fact that you got out of bed may be a big deal. The fact that you got dressed may be a big deal. There's a lot of little strengths that we tend to miss with ourselves, first off, and with the people that we're serving. So it demonstrates apathy and actually empathy, and builds rapport. Affirm the peers' past decisions, abilities, and healthy behaviors. Hey, let's face it. If they're even sitting in front of you, they're doing something right. Everything else may be going wrong, but man, the ability for them to walk in and actually stand in front of you is huge. And we need to give guys and ladies, we need to give the people that we serve affirmations and help them build their strengths. If I tell you right now, on a strengths-based program, if you build strengths, the weaknesses fall away. It's evidence-based, it's a fact. Builds a peer's self-efficacy and ability to believe they can be responsible for their own decisions and their lives. It basically just makes them feel better. It makes them believe that they can do things. And let's face it, sometimes when we're dealing with somebody, we're hitting them at their lowest point in life. And the last thing we need to do is pile on something negative. Okay? They're really low. They're not going to be willing to listen very well. And when you start talking to them, get them to answer a few questions, you know, get them talking, and then promote the strengths of what they do. You're going to see some transformations. You're going to see people open up. And next thing you know, you're able to help them access some of the correct choices that they need to make. An appropriate, okay, affirmations. Use appropriate silence, attentive body posture, and appropriate eye contact. This can be difficult on Zoom, fair warning, but this is something that I've always found kind of interesting. First off, you got to learn to school your face. Okay. There's this meme on Facebook. It says, sorry what my face said when you were talking to me. We've got to really learn how to school it so we're not portraying a oh no type of a look on our face or a closed up body posture or something like that. We want to show them in this aspect, in affirmations, that we are open to them, okay? That they're able to talk to us, and that our body posture, the look on our face, the appropriate eye contact is really important in building a solid relationship. Maintain a relaxed facial expression and tone of voice. As soon as they think that you're shocked, it can go any which direction. They're either going to feed on it being shocked, or they're going to feel like they can't talk. Use statements of appreciation and understanding and positive feedback. I'm so glad you came to the clinic today. It isn't always easy the first time. Any of you guys that have gone through trying to get connected with services, or even just trying to get into some of your wonderful programs, it can be stressful for the people that we serve when they're trying to figure out what to do, how to walk in the door. Next thing you know, they've got this one brief minute of inspiration, and then all of a sudden everybody's saying, well, here's a 3-week waiting list. You're already taking care of yourself when you let someone know where you're going. It's a simple statement. You know what? The fact that you even called today, that's already showing that you care about yourself and that you want something different. Statements like that are really good for affirmations. Fair warning, I keep feeling like asking everybody questions, because normally in my trainings, I try to get everybody talking, but I got to get through this. So, reflective listening. The most challenging skill is to listen reflectively to your peer. This skill also requires that you listen very carefully, observe your peer's body language and behavior, reflect using your own words and perceptions. There is a huge issue within the recovery world. This is treatment, this is recovery supports. Okay, let me rephrase that. There's a huge issue in the world with human beings listening to respond rather than listening to hear. Okay? We've all seen it. We've all done it. Halfway through a statement that the peer is talking about, you're already forming a response in your head. We've had people do it to us, and we've never liked it when they've done it to us. So we need to be careful when we're doing it to somebody else. This is a hard skill to get to where you're truly trying to hear what they're saying, not trying to formulate a response. You're not trying to formulate where they're coming from. You are truly just listening to them. And the reflective part of it is where you get to put back in your own words what you're seeing. Okay? Using this skill effectively promotes the most movement in a peer's awareness. This part of your intervention can help a peer make more intentional decisions and consider behavior changes. The purpose is demonstrates to the peer that you're listening and trying to understand their situation. Again, I go back to the fact that so many times all they want to do is be heard. I just wanted to be heard when I was going through struggles, and I felt like nobody was listening. I felt like the system wasn't listening. Nobody was really listening. The people that loved me weren't listening. And this style of communication demonstrates that you really are trying to listen. You really are trying to hear what they're saying, where they're coming from, so you can understand them and their position. Offer the peer the opportunity to hear their own words. Sometimes if you repeat back exactly what they said, they're like, well, no, that's not what I meant. We've all done it. We've all said something. And if somebody reflects it back to us, they're like, well, that's not really what I meant. And that's a normal thing. It's a human trait that a lot of people have. And so sometimes reflective listening is reflecting back, saying, well, this is what you said. They're like, well, no, that's not really what I meant. Okay, well, could you help me understand more of what you actually meant so I can get a better understanding of where you're coming from? Took the reflective listening, turned it into an open-ended question. Reflect the peer's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Reflect the peer's general experience and the in-the-moment experience of the visit. Simple types of reflective listening. Simple reflection is just simply repeat the peer's words. Reflect feelings. Reflect what the peer might be feeling. Hey, it appears that you're feeling anxious right now by the way you're twitching and jittering in your seat. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you're feeling? Open-ended questions. The reflection brought out a question. Reflect the behavior. Amplified reflection is one that I want people to be very careful with. If you actually try it, it's rephrase the peer's words exaggerated. This is where if you're not careful and not trained, you will specifically come across as being sarcastic and a little bit like you're attacking them. So be very careful when it comes to an amplified reflection. I don't recommend it 99% of the time. Double-sided reflection is the peer's words. Note the ambivalence and point out the discrepancy. Shifting focus, going back to something that, or changing the directions, and then rolling with ambivalence. We'll get to that in a second. Summarizing. Summarizing, which may also include paraphrasing, is a skill that will help the professional and the peer move through sessions to transition and close. Summarizing can be demonstrated in 3 variations, a collective summary. So let's go over what we've talked about so far. This is one of the aspects where you get to make sure that you're still both on the same page. Okay? You're going to summarize what you'd been talking about, so on and so forth. If you sit there and chat with somebody for an hour, you may have gone over 5 different things. And the very first part may have been the best part, where they actually had a plan on what they're doing. And then by the end, they were talking about, I don't know, something like Royals opening day today. And they end up not remembering to go back to that aspect. So summarizing helps there. A linking summary is just simply so you can go and talk about, a minute ago, you said you wanted to talk to boop. Maybe now we can talk about how you might try to do it. if they talked about something, a linking summary takes you back to that topic. And a transitional summary, so you will make an appointment today before you leave, and maybe we'll see you again soon. Just kind of closing things up. Rolling with ambivalence, ORS. How many people have you worked with that don't really want to change? Point out that, just so you guys know, Mayo Clinic uses motivational interviewing for their tobacco treatment programs. So those that are still smoking, maybe rolling with ambivalence as to, well, it's not as bad as what I was doing before. Anybody that knows me knew I was going to take a shot at smokers, so sorry. I love y'all, and I want you to be with us for a long time. When you sense there's an argument present, stop the conversation and indicate that the intent is not to take sides, but seeking understanding. Okay? When somebody is ambivalent and they're not wanting to change, if you try to push it, you're going to start an argument. And as soon as somebody gets defensive, the conversation is over and they're not going to be able to move forward very well. And so in this aspect, this is where you back up a little bit and ask more questions, clarify, summarize, do stuff like that. Make sure that they understand that what you're trying to do with this technique is gain understanding. Ambivalence is a behavior that occurs when two people have their own point of view. Ambivalence occurs when the professional is moving the peer ahead too quickly, or the professional has failed to understand something that is very important to the peer. It's my job as the professional to make sure that I'm trying to help the person I'm working with, the peer I'm working with, the client, however you wish to state it, move forward at the speed that's going to be best for them, not best for me. Okay. Sometimes we'll get caught up in the idea that, you know, well, you should be farther ahead, or you need to do this, you need to do that. You know what? One step forward is all that matters. Better yet, how about one step not backwards? Standing still can be a benefit at times. If your peer is ambivalent, change your strategy. Ask open-ended questions to clarify. Tell me more about what happened last time you tried to stop drinking. Summarize what you've heard from the peer. Are you hearing it correctly? It sounds like you are more likely to drink when you encounter somebody from your past. Think about how many times we've heard stuff like that, but it's their family, their good old friends, whatever. You get them to start talking about, hey, you know what? Seems like every time I do hang around so-and-so, man, I do end up having issues and struggles. Reflective listening is to reframe the peer statements, make sure you're helping them see where they're really coming from. I know that you said you're really frustrated and don't know what to do, but you're talking with me about it, and it seems like you want to do something different. Reflective listening, okay? The simple fact that they came and sat in front of you is huge. Another reflective listening. As we talk about changing your social community, it seems like there might be more going on. What am I missing? Simple questions. Okay, so normally I would take a lot longer, ask a lot of questions, and try and get feedback, because I guarantee you, each one of you had thoughts as we were going through this, as to what we could do, what we do, how it fits, so on and so forth. And I would sit there and say also, pull out the ORS model and show it to the person you're working with. Show it to the peer. Let them know it. Better communication helps every single relationship under the sun. And the ORS model and motivational interviewing is just one small tidbit of how we can improve relationships. That's all I got. Any questions?
Thank you, Ken.